The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem is telling employees and their families to exercise caution after Israel carried out a strike on Iran and restricted personal travel outside the greater Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Beersheba areas until further notice. Rabbi Aryeh Lightstone served as the senior advisor to Donald Trump's ambassador to Israel and is live near Tel Aviv right now. Rabbi, good morning to you. What is the mood like in Jerusalem or in Israel right now following the strike last night?
The mood, I think, is actually quietly confident. There are two different things that give you a sign in Israel in terms of how things are going. Number one is the amount of leaks that come from the government, which traditionally leaks like a sieve. And the other is whether the schools are in session or not. And for the last 8 hours, the government has not leaked anything, and the schools are in session. So when both of those things happen, the Israeli people are rather satisfied that their government is going about their business as they should be.
Speaking of leaks, Rabbi, the news that we had been getting through reports, possibly through Israel itself, is that this strike wasn't going to happen for some time after Passover or even after Israel launched its ground invasion into Rafah, but it took place last night. Do you think that was by design by Israel to sort of muddy the waters in terms of their timeline for this strike? And if so, why?
Absolutely. I think most of the time that you have reporters declaratively tell you something that they've heard from the Israeli Security Cabinet, it's because the Israeli Security Cabinet wants you to think that way. And so therefore, thinking that the attack would happen or after Passover, perhaps delayed until after the Gaza war was completed, was a feint in order to have Iran sort of relax a little bit. The ultimate success over here is that Israel was able to demonstrate to the Iranian leadership that they can hit anywhere at any point in time in Iran, and they won't see it coming.
Are you worried, Rabbi, that there's going to be a retaliatory strike by Iran in Israel?
No, today I'm not, mostly because Israel allowed Iran a way to back out of this. Iran is publicly declaring to their people that there was no strike. They even have news trucks driving around the city of Isfahan showing, see, no explosions over here, and therefore setting up a situation where they can claim that there was an attempt by Israel, it was knocked down by Iranian air defenses, and everybody can sort of reset. Iran does not want a full-scale war against Israel, and when they saw Israel together with its allies, chief amongst them the United States of America, standing up against their attack, my guess is that Iran will attack a soft target in the next, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, an embassy perhaps in South America or some Jewish gathering somewhere in Western Europe.
So, Rabbi, there's big news out of the Wall Street Journal. They reported yesterday that the White House is renewing their push for Israel to normalize relations with Saudi Arabia. But in order for that to happen, Israel is going to have to agree to Palestinian statehood. Two-part question here. What does Palestinian statehood actually mean? And also, what do you think about this possible deal overall? Normalization of relations with Saudi Arabia, which is something Israel would want in exchange for that Palestinian statehood.
Yeah, so I spend most of my time focused on normalization in the Middle East. It is the future. There will be peace. There will be prosperity. The question is how that will come about. And with the Biden administration, we're looking at a 3+ year track record of failure after failure after failure on policy, especially foreign policy. Why would we think that they would get this particular deal correct? Israel wants to make peace with Saudi. At its core, through Vision 2030, Saudi would like to normalize relationships with Israel. All of the rest of the stuff that the U.S. has introduced to this deal will just muddy the water, make the relationship more challenging, and allow the Palestinians, who should not have a veto over progress, not only veto over progress, but perhaps a positive statement in order to be able to destroy all of the path to normalcy and normalization throughout the Middle East.
Rabbi, thank you so much for joining us this morning, right outside Tel Aviv.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.